welcome to today's video where we will be discussing and reviewing Atlantis, the Lost Empire.
I know Atlantis for being the one that there's like this really strange cult following which are convinced that Atlantis is the best Disney. They exist.
Yeah, I'm not in that cult.
I never saw it until I had to review this. In fact, I saw it today, so this is a very, very fresh review.
We are about an hour after being watching this for the first time.
Fresh off the press. But Atlantis, for me, I was really intrigued by because, like, the experimental era, I'm like, I don't know a lot about them. I didn't know anything about Atlantis other than I guessed it was to do with the lost city of Atlantis. From
Which
the
it
title.
is.
Yeah, I know. Hey, look at me. University folks.
Yeah.
And I just knew that people defended this movie with like a fiery passion, so I kind of came in with like quite optimistic this was going to be one of the better ones.
I like Atlantis, okay? I don't dislike it. I like it more than I've liked Dinosaur and Emperor's New Groove, and it's probably one of the, in my opinion, like the better ones of the experimental era.
About quite Indiana Jonesy in a way. You've got Michael J. Fox as the plucky but quite ignored archaeologist.
He's a cartographer and linguist.
Yeah.
So he's called Milo Thatch.
His granddad was convinced he was going to find Atlantis, never did, kind of known as like an idiot for wasting his life, and Milo's looking like he's going down the same road, but he wants to prove that his grandfather wasn't a weirdo.
Yeah.
So he quits his job, gets funding to get into a big submarine and
find Atlantis, basically.
Yeah.
Because there's a team, so he gets put with an already assembled team by a guy.
One of his
I can't remember now. I'm literally just watched this. Whitmore, yeah, thank you.
Grandfather's friend also wants to prove that his grandfather was right.
Yes. So basically, they in Iceland found the Shepherd's Journal, which leads you to Atlantis, but they need Milo to decipher it because it's in a ancient language. So there's an already assembled team of characters, which we won't go into discuss all of them, but there's the two bad guys, Helga Sinclair, who's a blonde, sexy lady, and Captain Rourke, and then there's the other team of like, they're all like random like misfits. So there's Molière, who's the creepy little French guy who thinks he's a mole, who likes digging.
I didn't find him funny at all. I just kind of got annoyed. I think I really didn't like the supporting characters in this film. I think kind of like the jokes just didn't land. I think it's quite a busy film, so when they're making jokes about like a weird French mole man, I'm like, we don't have time for this, lads.
Yeah, and then there's Vinny, who he's like American Italian, isn't he? And his family own a chain of florists, and then one day the shop next to him exploded, and he said that it was like the most beautiful thing he's ever seen, and now he's like a demolitions expert. Dr. Sweet, who's the first African American character.
Yeah, he's a doctor.
Yeah, and Audrey. I like Audrey. Audrey is, again, Italian American, I'm pretty sure, or Latina.
Yeah, I thought Latina, but it's
okay. And she basically is a girl who's a mechanic, and her whole backstory is that her dad wanted two kids, one to help him run his mechanic business, the other one to become a heavyweight boxer. He got two girls instead, and she went to run the mechanics, and her sister's a heavyweight boxer.
Yeah, personally, the only one I found funny was the elderly lady that ran the communications that just chain smoked throughout the whole film and literally had no idea of like rush. She's there just like talking to her friends on the phone while like the submarine's being attacked by this like giant sea monster.
Yeah, it's being attacked by the Leviathan, and then she's just there like, hang on a minute, Margie, I'm gonna have to call you back.
That was funny. That was like one of the few moments. Right.
And Cookie as well. The old, I don't even know what he is. He's like an old, like hillbilly, like, character.
I completely kept on forgetting about him, and then he'd pop up for a joke, and I'm like, oh, who are you? Like, Atlantis is very much like, there's such a busy thing, and like, at first, you think it's going to be a film about them finding Atlantis, so they're in like this massive sub, and everyone made it out like that was the crux of the film, like...
Oh yeah, no, it's not.
like then they get there, they fight the Leviathan, which is like this giant robot fish thing that
that protects Atlantis.
Yeah, so the Atlanteans built it to keep people away. Loads of people die in that scene. Quite a high death count. We were saying how dinosaur had a high death count. I think Atlantis must overtake that.
Maybe. They're all nameless characters.
It doesn't matter. So like then they get to Atlantis, and then it's a film a little bit like Stargate. It reminded me of Stargate, the sci-fi.
Stargate Atlantis.
Yeah, there we go. Where they found this culture, and they were kind of there, and then like kind of getting to grips with it, and like.
But that's because it's based on Atlantis.
Yeah, and then like the people they were with turned into villains and tried to steal it, and then like it becomes like a heist film.
Yeah, so basically they've gone to find what is the heart of Atlantis, which they, the expedition team think is a huge crystal, and Milo thinks is essentially like a huge battery that powers Atlantis.
He thinks it's renewable energy. So.
Yeah, and that's their goal. Their goal is to go and get that and take it and sell it. And every character in that film, apart from Milo, is very clear that that is their goal. And it is all about the money. But what they don't think is they basically don't think that there's a civilization there.
Yeah, and then when they get there, they realise that if they were to take that battery / crystal, it would destroy the culture. So obviously,
because
some of them change their minds, some of them don't. That's the fun fight.
So the heart of Atlantis is essentially the thing that powers the whole of Atlantis. Everyone in Atlantis lives for a very, very long time. Like Kida, the princess in this, is like 8,800.
Yeah.
They're all very, very old. They can all heal, and it's all due to the heart of Atlantis, which keeps everyone alive, and it's basically like all the dead kings, and occasionally when Atlantis is under threat, it takes a member of the royal family to become the host for the heart, which was Kida's mother, and then in the film becomes Kida.
This is my other problem with Atlantis. There's like so much plot, and it's...
Yeah.
Okay, I think a film could tell the story quite well, but not a Disney film.
It's also very long.
Yeah, it's very long. It's not very Disney. It is, again, very experimental era. They're like, let's try this. Let's try and do like an action animated film. And I'm watching it and I'm not getting any of like... I'm not feeling Disney. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's not a very Disney film.
Then it gets a little bit... I'm not going to say like gory, but it's getting a bit more extreme than I want from my Disney films. Like Hunchback kind of...
Which it got a PG rating because of this.
Towed the line, but then you've got like the villain, spoilers alert, like he gets killed by getting turned into crystal and crumbling, and that's kind of... That was quite a jarring
he
moment.
becomes like a lava monster, doesn't he?
Yeah, but like for kids, that's quite tough, and
he pushes a woman out of a hot air balloon.
Yeah, but Rattigan did that, and we didn't bat an eyelid.
Yeah,
mind you, he was a bat.
But then you didn't see what happened to the bat. Whereas, like with Helga, it shows you her there on the floor. Like
she survived.
No, she was dying as she did what she did.
Right. Okay.
She would have definitely been paralysed from the waist down.
I assume the thing. I don't know. Like it's very confusing, and I don't know. I just didn't get a sense of Disney from it, and
yeah, it's got Leonard Nimoy in it though. Leonard Nimoy's the dad.
Oh, Spock, yeah.
Who again, the dad does nothing. The problem with Atlantis is it's got loads and loads of support characters that just don't really contribute anything.
Yeah, it's too weighty, it's too heavy, it's like... I mean, I'm saying it's too gory for kids, but the other thing, it's just too boring for kids.
Yeah, and then you kind of like you said with Cookie, where you forget he's there, it's kind of like, oh, we haven't used this character in a while, let's bring him up to do a joke.
Yeah, like... And also, I swear the animation's getting worse. I mean, like, throughout the Renaissance, it was steadily improving.
They're chopping and changing with each film what their style is.
Like, I mean, you take something like Rescuers, and then the Rescuers sequel, and you have, like, a direct, well, how far have Disney come? We hit Tarzan, and Tarzan's animation was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Atlantis is, like... I will put it before, like, if I didn't know the order the films would come in, I would put Atlantis as way before some of the Renaissance. I'd probably put it, like, just after Little Mermaid, maybe. Cause...
Yeah. It's just... I don't have a problem with it. I watched it a lot as a kid. I probably watched the sequel more, like, again, like I would say with all of, like, the... kind of some of the Renaissance, some of the classics... most of these that have got sequels, I'm like, actually, it was the sequel that I watched.
Yeah.
And I like the sequel. It was a good enough film to get a sequel. It's just not Disney though.
The thing is with a sequel, I must be interested in a sequel because I don't think they had a chance to explain anything well enough. Like, I don't actually think Atlantis got its time in the
Which
sun.
the sequel is basically Milo. Obviously, at the end, Milo stays in Atlantis.
But like with like the sequels and the TV shows, like with the Emperor's New Groove, you're kind of like, I want to spend more time with Crunk, Kuzo, like with the Lilo and Stitch had a lot of sequels. It's because you love Lilo and Stitch. Atlantis, I'm like, I don't actually want to spend any more time with these characters. If you're gonna have a sequel, I need.
And it's got all the support characters back. Like literally, the plot is they go back down there after like a year of Milo being there because Kida's about to be crowned queen.
Yeah.
And they go back down for that, and it's like literally every single support character goes back.
Well, I don't know.
It's just odd. But it's at a time when Disney, this whole experimental era, was a time when Disney was looking at what other companies were doing and trying to emulate that. So DreamWorks in 2000 had success, or maybe 99 had success with The Road to El Dorado, which again is kind of like Emperor's New Groove because they're both that. Southern America part of the world.
Buddy pairing.
Yeah. But it's very much like that was an action adventure animation. Let's do that, but we'll do Atlantis instead of El Dorado. And there's a lot of similarities between like Kida and Chell.
The problem is Atlantis just feels like a second-hand film that someone's trying to do something that it's not ready to do. And if they just stuck to being Disney, like at least Emperor's New Groove did, and even Dinosaur kind of was like, right, we're changing the style, but we're going to tell quite a Disney story. They clung to that, whereas like Atlantis just feels like they
basically wanted to make an action adventure story, as an animation, and there was just too much story.
Yeah.
It needed to be live action, really.
Yeah.
Like if they did like an Indiana Jones, which again is also Disney, but he found Atlantis. That's kind of like what it needed to be. Anyway, I'll do my fun facts. So my first fun fact is that because of everything that we've said, it was always planned out as an action adventure. The official tagline for the film, and this came from the production crew wearing t-shirts that said, "Fewer songs, more explosions." That was the official tagline. Also, back to our good friend Paul Pressler. At Disneyland, there is a submarine ride. I think it is still there today. I think it is now rethemed to Finding Nemo. But in 2002, it went down for a refurb, and it was heavily rumoured that it was going to be refurbed as an Atlantis submarine voyage. However, this received so much criticism when it got leaked that it was going to happen that they just scrapped it and just gave it a nice little repaint and let it go back out again.
Got that sinking feeling, did they?
Numbers?
2.
Wow, I'm going to give it a 6 because I actually quite like it.
Right, okay. Here we go. Hopefully things will get better. Let's find out tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye.
Have
Have a magical rest of your day. Sorry.